Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with BonnieBayCrochet.com, and this is video number 2 for the Hialeah Honey Baby Blanket. And in this video, we are going to complete this baby blanket. Let me give you just a quick view of what you should have before you start this video. I have completed rows 1 through 53 already from watching video number 1. Okay, now if you want this baby blanket to be longer, then go ahead and add the extra rows that you would like at this point. After that, we're going to start with row 54. I'm going to chain 3, and I am actually going to work an exact repeat of row number 2 that you've been doing back and forth, back and forth. So rather than bore you with all the details of that, if you need to review that row, please go back to video number 1. But go ahead and repeat row number 2 one more time, and then I will show you the row that's going to discontinue the cabling in row 55. Okay, now we're ready to begin row 55. We begin this row, we are working with the back side facing. We're going to chain 3, and we're going to skip the very first double crochet here. We're going to work a double crochet in the next, working through the top loops just like we've been doing all along. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to work back post double crochets or double crochets depending on where we are. As we work across the braid, we're just going to work straight across, back post double crochets. There should be 6 of them for this braid. Okay, that's 4, 5, and 6. Now you're going to work through the top loops of the 2 double crochets where you've been working through the top loops for the last 54 rows. Okay, so that's how we're going to discontinue all the cabling patterns. So go ahead and finish that all the way across, working back post double crochets where you have cabling, and working double crochets where you have the double crochets. So go ahead and do that all the way across. Okay, after working this all the way across, I'm going to work the last 2 stitches for you. Double crochet in that last double crochet, and I'm going to work one in the top of the turning chain. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn, and I'm going to show you what that row should look like. Okay, see the way that just kind of discontinues the cabling, and it is curving just a teeny weeny bit, but that's okay because we have 2 more perimeter rounds that we're going to work. That's going to help to fix that. Now we're going to work round 1 of the border. We're going to start with the chain 1, and we do have the front side facing. Make sure that that is the case here. And we're going to just work a single crochet, working through the top loops of all the stitches now, just like you normally would. We're going to work single crochets all the way across the row until we get to the next corner. Okay, so go ahead and work those single crochets all the way across. Okay, as we come up on this first corner, I'm going to single crochet in that last stitch. Now notice I'm not going to work in the turning chain at this point. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet in that same space where I just crocheted my last single crochet. Okay, so now we're going to be working across the row ends, and I think what works best is to work 2 single crochet for every row end. Okay, because we're crocheting over the height of a double crochet. Now how you do this, you know, it could be up to you, but I recommend 2 single crochets per row end all the way across. So go ahead and work that. I'll work a couple more for you. And I'll show you something else I like to do. I like to kind of space these out, maybe work the first single crochet when I'm working over a double crochet in the space there, and then one in the larger part of that stitch. I mean, you can work in the holes here if you'd like, or you can just put 2 stitches here. It really doesn't matter so much as long as you have 2 single crochets per row end. Okay, so go ahead and do that until you get to the corner. After working 2 single crochets in each row end all the way across, we're going to turn 90 degrees again. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet again in the same place where I worked the last single crochet. And now working across the row ends, not the row ends, I'm sorry, the foundation chain here, we're going to work 1 stitch in the opposite side of that chain. Now if you're having a hard time seeing where the loops are, the best bet is to look to see where that other stitch was worked in that chain, or you can see the upside down double crochet here. I would just go in opposite that and go ahead and work through both of those remaining loops of the chain. That way the chain is completely covered up and you're going to get a nice row of stitches all the way across. So go ahead and do that until the next corner. After working all the way across that foundation row, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in that same place where that last stitch was worked. And here is our starting thread when we left over from that foundation chain. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to crochet 2 stitches in each stitch along this row, or continuing with the round, and I'm going to just crochet over that strand so I don't have to worry about it later on to try to cover that up. So I'm just going to, just like we did on the other section with the row ends, just work 2 single crochets in each row end all the way across. Okay, so go ahead and complete that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work this last stitch of this round, and then after we've worked that last stitch of the round, you can see that it's actually in the same place as where the first single crochet was worked. I'm going to chain 1, then I'm going to join with a slip stitch to that very first stitch of the round. Now we're ready for round 2 of the border. I'm going to chain 1, single crochet in that first single crochet. We still have the front side facing, we're not turning or anything like that. Now I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and I'm going to work 4 double crochets in the next stitch. Okay, so that's 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to work a slip stitch in the very first chain of that chain 4, and then I'm going to work 4 more double crochets in that very same spot as I form this shell with the picot. Okay, and then I'm going to skip 2 more stitches, 1, 2, and then single crochet in that next stitch. And there you have my first shell with the picot. Let's go ahead and do that again. Skip 2 stitches, 4 double crochets in the next stitch, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch in that first chain, and then 4 more double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 2 stitches, and then single crochet in the next. Let's take a look at 2 shell stitches with the picot. It should look like this. Now I want you to work this all the way across the row, all the way across. Now when you get to the corners, you might have to adjust slightly. You may have to adjust this section slightly. And so what we're going for is this on the corners. 1 here, and I try to put that single crochet in the true corner, and then begin the shells along the other edge. Okay, just all the way around. So I'll go ahead to the first corner and show you what I have, and we'll see if I need to adjust at all. But if you do need to adjust, it should only be a stitch here or there. It'll be very slight. It's not going to compromise the design at all, I promise you. Okay, now as I approach the corner, I realize that there are a couple extra stitches here. So I'm going to go ahead and skip 1, 2, 3 stitches just to help adjust this. And let's see how this works. And if you don't like the way it turns out, you can always, pull it out and try something different. So I work my 4 double crochets, chain 4, slip stitch in that first chain to form the picot, and then 4 more double crochets, okay. Now if I skip 2, 1, 2, that brings it to this stitch, which is pretty much, it's close enough to the corner, so I'm just going to go with that. Single crochet. Now I'm going to turn 90 degrees. I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and begin working the next shell. Let's make sure we do a double crochet and not a treble crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and do our slip stitch in the first chain, and then 4 more double crochets. I'm so used to working trebles, sometimes I revert back. And then skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and single crochet in the next stitch. Let's take a look. Okay, so that looks good to me. That's a good corner. So I'm just going to keep on going. So I hope that's understandable. Again, just feel free to adjust where you need to in order to get these corners just right. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest, going all the way around the entire blanket, and then I'll show you what we have at the end. I've worked this all the way around, and now I'm going to skip the last 2 stitches, and instead of working my next stitch in the chain 2, I'm just going to go ahead and join it to the first stitch of the round, just like that. I'm going to give it a chain and give it a tug, and I'm going to go ahead and clip a nice long line, or a nice long thread rather. Remember, at least 4 to 5 inches long, and longer is fine. So that is completed. Okay. Now that we have completed our project, we have something very important to do, and that is hide all these loose threads. I'm going to go ahead and use my yarn needle. I've gone ahead and threaded that. And so what I suggest you do is work with the back side facing you, because you don't want these threads to be showing on the front side, obviously. So I'm going to bring this down into a couple stitches here. And I really enjoy when I'm hiding these, I want to hide these as best as I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually run it under this group of stitches here. Let me go ahead and bring this back into the viewfinder. Okay, so there's not a rule, as I always say on this section, there's not a rule or anything on how you do this. You just want to be very careful that you hide them well. You want to hide them so that they don't show in your work. And make sure you hide enough of the thread that it doesn't just pull out on you, and that could be a problem, especially after you trim it. Okay, so make sure, it's not showing on either side, and I did hide quite a bit of it. So I'm going to take my scissors and cut close, but not too close. You don't want to cut your stitches there. Give it a little tug, and that thread is hidden pretty well. So I've got a few more to hide, but I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I just wanted to give you just a little bit of a view. Now this will all flatten out in time, or I can just lay that out and maybe even block it if I wanted to, especially with these little picots on the end. So this ends video number 2 of the Hialeah Honey baby blanket. I hope you like this. Don't forget to hit that little subscribe button if you haven't already, so that you don't miss any of my projects coming to you in the future. God bless. Bye-bye.